Good morning, everybody. So, my name is Emerson Macedo, and I'm here to talk to you about beyond your daily code job. So, I work for Global.com for the last 9 years, and we are responsible to the internet experience for the global group. And I'm working today at the web media. We are responsible for online video in the internet. Everything you play, our content from Global Play, Global Sat Play, and video about sports, entertainment, and news. We do this. I'm here with two guys sitting here in the second. And I also bring some gifts to you that I will give after the presentation. So maybe you're asking yourself if is this a self-help presentation? I have nothing against self-help presentation, but this is not the purpose of this one. It may look like, but it's not. I'm here to tell you a story, 2 stories. And then we will extract a pattern from these stories. So let's start in 2008, the year I joined Global.com. Some guys created a project using Ruby on Rails when Orkut apps were cool. So here is the application they created using Ruby. Does anybody remember Orkut apps here? Oh, few people? Yeah. So they created an application to report fire focus on the Amazonian forest. This application was written in Ruby on Rails entirely, but it has a problem. It relies on a cache layer using a closed platform called Vignette. It was widely used in the end of the 2000s, and somebody forgot to turn the cache on. And because of this, the application crashes. And close to what happened to us, the rant about Twitter problems and the meme about Rails doesn't scale were in the same hype, in the same time. So this fanned the flames. I thought Ruby on Rails was dead inside Global.com, and this initiative will not happen again. So the infrastructure people deleted the RPM package and was not able to create a Ruby project anymore. Going to 2009, I was working in a Java project called Photolog that is an application to people share their photos before Facebook killed them all. You know that before Facebook, we have a lot of Photolog applications. This 8p.com.br was our application written in Java Enterprise Edition. But people know that in big companies, it was very popular to use a reference architecture for our applications. And we have some guidelines with internal library and the reference architecture and some process to go. But it sucks. Everybody knows that reference architecture sucks. It's not a good thing. It leads us to maintenance hell, software rots, and a lot of companies were doing this in 2009, 2008. It was very common. So I was very unhappy with this, and I was sad. It was not feeling me well. So in the end of 2009, a project to create a sign-in system to reality shows of Global TV came to our team. So, sorry. Let me turn off the sound. Probably everybody here knows these 2 Global TV reality shows. One is No Limite, and the other one is Lata Velha. I guess No Limite is not in the lineup anymore, but it used to be presented by Zeca Camargo in the 90s, and Lata Velha is still in the lineup and is presented by Luciano Huck. So my coworkers of my team were very excited with Ruby on Rails too, but the status quo was to develop everything using Java Enterprise Edition inside the company. It was a big temptation for me because I thought, well, that's the opportunity. In the 2009, the tools to develop Java Enterprise Edition were not good. And to develop Ruby on Rails, we know that will be really faster than using the reference architecture and the libraries, internal libraries of the company. So I thought that was the opportunity. It will be faster. We can reintroduce Ruby to global.com, and the company will have another language in the toolbox. So other people, other teams could use this to solve similar problems or other problems we didn't think about. And sometimes you have to take risks. You know, if you want to change things, you sometimes have to take risks. Because big companies, I'm not sure if most of you work for big companies or small companies or startups, but when you work for a big company, sometimes you have to take some risks to make things change. And it was funny because I had a lot of meetings with infrastructure people, product owners, and in the end, we agreed that if the Ruby on Rails solution doesn't work, we would have to implement in Java Enterprise Edition, and they will not give us more time than we have. So I was in a situation that if I can't do this Ruby shit work, that it was a new thing to the company, and we had a fail case. We need to implement in Java, and we don't have more time than we have to the whole project. So I told myself, should I quit now, or should I wait to get fired after this fail? Then I'm trying to do this crazy thing. So, and if we not did neither Rails nor Java, maybe I would get fired. But the opportunity to change things was ahead of my face. There was no one with balls to do this. That was the truth. Many coworkers, most of them were afraid to do some stuff like this. But somebody should do. And I raised my hand and went to the trench. I started just spending my time preparing a workshop for people who doesn't know Ruby and Rails and teach them how to program in this language and using the Rails framework. It was 5 days from 6 to 9 p.m. every day. It was about a week. And then, after that, we started the project, and it was the end of 2009, and we were in 2010. In May, we put again a Ruby on Rails project into production at global.com. I put here a blog post in Portuguese, but as Akita said yesterday, who cares about Portuguese blog posts? Nobody reads this. But it was May of 2010 that I blog posted this, and it was a very success because few people were believing in us. And hell yes, motherfucker, we did it. We put it in production. This story has lots of details, of course. I can speak for an hour or maybe two about this, but the details doesn't matter for this presentation. The important is that we delivered 2 months early. It was scheduled to deliver in July, and we delivered in May. So Rails was back again inside global.com, and it was a huge impact to the company. So let's fast forward to 2016, from 2010 to just 2016. So what about 2010 to 2016? You did nothing? No, I did a lot of good things, maybe we will have another opportunities to tell you these stories, but I guess the second story I will tell you is bigger, is the bigger contribution I've made to global.com. There were others with high impact too, but I guess you will like this. So, after 2010, a lot of projects at global.com were written using Ruby on Rails. Again, mission accomplished. So, let's talk about after 6 years developing Ruby on Rails. In the age of microservices, 2016, so we had one called Video User Profile Service. I presented a talk about this at RubyConf last year, so I will be very short to not reproduce the same presentation, and of course I will not have time to reproduce the entire presentation. So this application is responsible to track the user logged actions. So every time you are in a web page or mobile device or smart TV, whatever, using Global Play, for example, or Global Site Play, you have some user logged actions to perform. You can add to favorites, you can add to a watch later list, and when you're watching a video, every 10 seconds, we hit an endpoint to register where are you in the timeline of this video. For example, if you are watching a 2-hour movie and you are in 30 minutes, you close your browser and you open your mobile phone, you will return in the same point you stop it. So Global is making binge watching experiments combined with online first for TV shows. So today we have some TV shows and soap operas that we launch first online, then in the television, no more broadcast television. And because of this, our online audience becomes bigger, bigger, and bigger every day. And we need to prepare ourselves to the Rio 2016 Olympics. So with online first videos for global.com, binge watching, and the Olympics, we had to prepare ourselves to this, turning our applications that are important for us. So our main problem with this application is that the throughput increased between 2013 and 2016. 600%, more or less. And this is a well-written Ruby on Rails application that benefits from 2010 movements reintroducing Rails to global.com. And it was hard to predict the new application throughput after these initiatives of binge watching and the Olympics. So we started changing the infrastructure that was 2 bare metals, each one with 24 CPUs and 64 gigabytes of RAM. That brings us the average response time, that was good, but the percentages was hurting the application. We had sometimes 2.5 seconds, 2.5 seconds for 99%, and 1 second for the 95%. And when you think about percentages, they leads us to bottlenecks and contention when we are using language like Ruby that has a global interpreter locker, because when you are in a pause of 2.5 seconds, the worker is busy and he can't handle another requests. So it was a problem. We started increasing the computational resources from 2 to 4 bare metals, each one with 24 CPUs and 64 gigabytes of RAM. And this first change improved the metrics by more or less 32%. But we doubled the infrastructure, but only 32%, more or less. It tells us that horizontal scalability is not linear. It's not you add more machines and we will double the capacity and the performance. And we tried something different. we had a platform as a service inside global.com called Chisuru. Most of you know this. We did a lot of presentations about Chisuru, my coworkers, and without scale, but Chisuru has small computational resources. It brings to you a container with 1 to 4 virtual CPUs and 2 gig of RAMs. So we changed it to 93 containers. And for our surprise, we became more or less 12% better. But at the same time, we did something that it's not good. We changed more than one variable at a time. So we changed to the platform as a service, but we updated Rails, we updated Ruby to the last version, we updated the library, we changed it to the new data center, so lots of variables. And in the end, we can't measure rightly what makes really the difference in this scenario. So this 12% better, more or less, becomes inconclusive for us. So last year, I blog posted in English this time, our case about this Elixir to scale the user profile video service. At the end of this presentation, I will create a short blog post about this presentation with the link to the blog posts and everything you need to know about this, because I can't reproduce the entry presentation here today. But at least I will present the final results to you. After we move it to Elixir, with binge watching, the throughput increased 50% with the new audience. So from 60,000 requests per minute, we went to 9,000 requests per minute. And today, if I'm not wrong, we are with 112 or 120 requests per minute. And in the end, from 4 bare metals using 24 CPUs and 64 gigas of RAM, we went to 33 containers with 1 to 4 virtual CPUs and 2 gigabytes of RAM. And the Elixir version improved metrics by more or less 95%. So we went from 41 milliseconds of average response time, 0.5 seconds of 95 percentile, and 1.5 seconds of 99 percentile to this. So it was a huge result. And then I was invited to present the Elixir version to the Global.com Technology Committee. And who works for small or startup companies here, please? Who works for big companies, very big companies? No. People who works for big companies will know what I will say. When you try to change things in big companies, sometimes it's hard, very hard. It's not like when you are working for a startup that whatever you are using, you put things in production, then you throw away and create another version of the same thing and iterate very fast. So big companies they are naturally more conservative. It's part of the game. And I was invited to present to the CTO, the director of engineer, then tech managers, that they are the committee. And after this, Elixir was somehow, some kind, I'm not sure if approved is the right term, but they liked very much Elixir. And what the feedback was, thank you to this initiative. We are surely comfortable that Elixir is a good thing to global.com. And it was the result of this. So in 2017, this year, and we are in September, we delivered mission-critical projects in production at global.com using Elixir. So again, mission accomplished. And so what the story about Ruby on Rails and the story about Elixir have in common? What these two stories have in common? Before talking about these two stories, what they have in common, we need to understand how the game works. Before I understood how the game works, I sometimes became angry because when you do not understand the game, you do the right choice, and you become frustrated again. So, in every game, we have the players, we have the rules, we have the consequence, and the payoffs. There is a common sense, common phrase people tell here in Brazil that you have to accept. It's less painful. Yeah, surely. So the thing is, your boss wants profits. The company wants profits. He pays you a good salary because he expectations about you to make his company more profitable. So hack days, international conference, safari books, and other stuff are not to make you happy necessarily. They don't necessarily care about your wellness. Surely, we need to cut this crap. The company wants profit. And if he do these kind of things to us, send us to international conference, pay for safari books online, or give us books, it's because they expect us to deliver value to them, to make the company more profitable. It's all about this. It doesn't mean that your boss is evil or the company is evil, but they understand that these things attract the best professionals and make the environment more pleasure to us. And if we are in a pleasure environment, we tend to produce better. We tend to do better things. So when I was in the tech committee of Global.com, talking to the CTO, to the tech managers, to the directors, that for them, doesn't matter if Elixir is cool, of Ruby. What matters for them is this shit will add value to my company. This tool, this new tool, will bring us to a next level. We attract best professionals. We do better software and faster software. That's what's important to them. For us, programmer, we want to hack. We want to use new things. We want to use cool things. But for them, it doesn't matter. And that's the game, and we have to understand this. So, you are paid to deliver value. Your company is not expecting you to write code like a monkey. Yeah, it's true. It doesn't matter how many lines of code you write each day, or if you're coding from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. What matters is the value you deliver every day. No matter you are spending 1 hour or 8 hours. If you are programming Ruby, or in Lua, or in Elixir, or in Golang, it doesn't matter. And the other thing is the value is recognized with perception. Sometimes it's not fair. It's not always fair. Sometimes you do hard work, sometimes you do hard things, and you're not thinking about what I'm doing is adding value or is a waste of time. So, again, we just need to know the game and accept this. So, how to deal with this? I often hear people saying, but my boss do not see my job, my value, my effort. So it could be better, of course, but the responsibility to show the value you are adding to the company is yours. It's not of your boss. Most of the time, we are responsible to show the value we are adding to the company. Because if we are only in our desks, looking to the computer and coding 9 to 5, and doing nothing valuable to the company, just to our scripts or just in playing with some code, we can't add value just like this. We have to think about what we are doing. Sometimes we have to write no code. Sometimes you have to pick a tool and use it. There is a blog post, I'm not sure it's a blog post or article, that says that you're not paid to write code. This the Taco Bell programming. I'm not sure if you read this here in this room, but you can Google for it later. Taco Bell programming, that you can most of the time combine things to create a solution and add value without write a single line of code. So we have to think about it every day, because if you spend 3 months to deliver a solution or 2 weeks and it's the same quality of the solution, the better is you spend 2 weeks. Maybe there is a solution that you can reuse and not invent yours. So you have to think about this. The perception of the value we add to the company is very subjective, of course, sometimes, but it's our responsibility to transmit this to our bosses, okay? So, if your employer trusts you, he will be better perception about your job, and also more open to your ideas that challenge the status quo. So, what I usually say to my coworkers is that if you want to challenge the status quo of the company, you first have the trust of your boss. Because if they don't trust you, you will come to him to an idea. So I will change this company, I will introduce Elixir or Golang, or I will use Nginx instead of Apache, whatever. They will maybe, or he will maybe, look at you and say, what are you doing? It's risky. But if he trusts you, maybe you have a chance. So, for example, I'm working at global.com for the last 9 years. So today, of course, I have a reputation. I did very good things to the company, and today I have trust of my bosses. So when I ask to try something different, they hear me. They do not, go outside, take a breath, and forget this crazy idea. They hear me. Because I started small, of course, but then bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So the first thing we have to do is do our daily job very well, as best as we can. So the trust will come. If you can't do your daily job well, how do you innovate and create and challenge the status quo and create new things to your company if you can't do your daily job well? So the first thing we have to do is do our daily job. So the change of the company will be very limited to you if you can't do your daily job well. So returning to the story of Ruby and Elixir, what they have in common? What the Ruby and Elixir adoption of global.com have in common? So in 2009, Ruby on Rails was probably in the early adopters group in the innovation adoption lifecycle. Does everybody have seen this? Innovation adoption lifecycle. It's very common. So the Ruby was there in the early adopters in 2009, and Java was there in the laggards, and we were using this, and Elixir was outside, probably inside the head of Joseph Allen's emerging from his head. Yeah, maybe. I guess he was thinking about Elixir. No? I'm not sure. So in 2016, Ruby on Rails was in the laggards group and Elixir in the early adopters. Again. So it's the same pattern for the moment, the same moment. Java, where's Java? I'm not sure where it is. Maybe, oh, it's coming again. There. I have nothing against Java, really. I worked from 2004 to 2009 with Java. But Java Enterprise Edition was a big fail, in my opinion, to develop web applications, web APIs. It's good to integration through old systems written in COBOL, for example, but not to create web APIs. People using the JVM today are using Scala. Netflix is an example, and JRuby maybe. So people think that global is always in the early adopter group, but it's not true. Global maybe it's here, early adopters and early majority. And that's because a reason. When you are in early adopters or in early majority, you can attract the best professionals. I think the best professionals, the best programmers are always curious, are not satisfied to work with Java Enterprise Edition for 9 to 6 every day. That is the thing for the last decade. They want to learn new tools. They are here in this conference searching for new content, for new language, for new projects, for new language paradigms. And, you know, they're always curious. So what's the pattern from Ruby on Rails and Elixir story at global.com? It consists in 5 steps. I will present to you in 5 steps. First, we have to find the opportunities. They're everywhere in the company you work today. Sometimes it's not easy to find them, but they are there. They are inside your company. Can you find the 4 hidden words here? No, it's not good to hear from this. So we have hug, we have window, we have brand, and we have lamp. Lamp is Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, right? Forget it. So let's move on. The second is, when you identify the opportunity, try to create a pet project or some freelancer job experiments with the tool you want to introduce in your company. When Akita started blog posts about Elixir in 2015, maybe, 2015, yeah. He created this open source Elixir manga downloader. In the same time, I was started doing some freelancer with Elixir for United States company. And because it will brings you to troubleshooting, to learn the problems of the thing you are trying to use as a solution to your company. So you start master this solution or this new tool. So you will fall into production issues, you will have to debug. Then you became more experienced in this language or tool for the next step. And the third is sell it to your coworkers. If people work with you, do not believe in that solution you are proposing, you are thinking about using, how the other, how the other stakeholders will trust you? So, for example, I work in a team with 5, now 6 people. If I want to introduce Elixir and they don't want to learn Elixir, what's the point? It doesn't work. So first you will have to convince them that it's a good technology or a good solution or a good tool to do their jobs. So then after you will try to introduce into the company. So you will not have success alone. Nobody works alone. So I have a story inside the company with people who tried to do this alone. Every time they failed. Every time. They tried Scala, they tried it. I'm not sure if Lua, no, Lua we use in Nginx modules, but Scala is one example. If you try it alone, you will fail, because Months later, they will throw away your solution and he writes in the language they like or they are more comfortable because you tried to put a new technology for yourself, but your coworkers will not program in this language. So it's not a good idea to do this. And the 4th point here is create a proof of concept with the technology or solution you thought to solve the problem you have identified. So if it's possible, put into production. If it's not, you could show in your machine. It's a good thing because there is a difference to your stakeholders if you come to them and say, I have an idea. I will put Go language in here at my company. And you come to them with a proof of concept and show them, oh, it's here. It's working. Works on my machine, but it's working. If you can put into production, if you have freedom to put into production, it's better, of course. We did this inside global.com. But even if you can't put into production, if you show some working software, it's better. It's the best option because you can prove that it works. And maybe you have a chance to go forward with your solution. So inside global.com, we always say that ask for excuse or apologize is better than ask for permission. Because if you come to your boss, he ask for their permission, for his permission to do new things in your company, maybe he will say to you, no, forget this. Continue with your Python code or Ruby code. Forget this Elixir. But if you come to him with a working solution, maybe you have a chance. Maybe you can go forward. And I'm sorry. 5 is present your results to the stakeholders. They will be the engine to support you spread the solution. When I presented the Elixir solution to the technology committee, to CTO, directors of engineer, and technology managers, it was the key to the Elixir success. Today, nobody asked us about what is Elixir, why Elixir is inside the video products, why you are doing Elixir and not Ruby. Nobody asks us about this. It's normal. So other teams are using, and we have other initiatives using Elixir too. Inside web media, that is where I work, and outside. So if you think all this path, 5 steps sucks, you can open your own business. You open your company so you can use the language you want. But understanding the game is that your boss, your company, needs and wants profit. And what they're expecting to you, it's that you are paid to deliver value, not just code. You have to think about this. Because we are programmers, we love to program. I program every day inside the company and outside my house, doing open source projects or patch projects, but we have to think about value. We have to think about how do we add value to the company. Because if we are only writing code like a monkey every day without thinking about the value we have to add to the company, somehow today or in the future, we will be frustrated people because our bosses will not see value in our jobs because we are only a code monkeys. And then that's not the target. The target is to add value to the company we are working. And just to finish, here is the team that I work. This is the Elixir guys for global.com. There are others, but this is the team I work. And it's me. It's different, but it's me. And that's all, folks. Thank you.